With your data loaded, you want to, as usual, go to Add-ins, MEXL, but this time select Pricing and Run Analysis. In the first dialog box, we'll ask you whether you want to include the first column as respondents' IDs. Click Yes. Now there are two sources of inputs that MEXL will ask you for. The first is likelihood of purchase scale. Be sure to click on these two rows, the first one being the Likert scale from 1 to 5, and the second row being the corresponding associated probability with the indicated Likert scale number. So we are assigning 0 probability if the respondent responds as 1, 2, or 3. If respondent responds as 4, we will assign a 20% probability of purchase. And even if the respondent indicates the highest level of purchase willingness, we will assign a 50% probability to actually purchase. This is standard in the industry. With these two rows highlighted, click OK, and now enter the respondent data. Now to do that, be sure to first indicate the different prices that they were shown, as well as their respondents for all 26 respondents. Now, before we click OK, note we have this additional data here, this age and gender data for each respondent. That's not used in the MEXL analysis. That we can use later when we want to do differential pricing. Click OK. And a new workbook pops open with the output. There are 4 tabs. Start with pricing analysis, which is the main output page. You have 3 output zones. Respondents' answers. This is the distribution of answers from the respondent. It is the distribution of the actual data, or the sample distribution. We have 2 variables here, likelihood of purchase and expected revenues, at the 6 different price points that they were shown. The first row here is the distribution of purchase probability, or likelihood of purchase. For example, at $5 of our 26 respondents, 26% are likely to respond. As we increase in price, that probability goes down. Up to $18, nobody is likely to respond. The next row is the expected revenue given this distribution. So at $5, 26% are likely to respond. That gives a corresponding expected revenue of $1.31. Bear in mind that these may seem low, but these are per respondent. So at $5, we expect a given respondent to purchase with 26%. So that means the expected revenue from any given respondent will be $1.31. Model predictions are based on the estimated model, the Gabor-Granger model. So these don't perfectly correspond to the sample distribution because these are estimated. Again, we have likelihood of purchase and expected revenue based on the model predictions at all the different price points. Now, even though we're considering discrete price points, the model treats them as continuous so that we can identify an optimal price that may not be one of these. In particular, we see here the model predicts $8.103 or $8.10 as the optimal price. It is always highlighted and in the last column of the model predictions. You want to bear in mind that this is optimal with respect to revenues. We have not considered marginal costs in this case. If we have positive marginal costs, the optimal revenue model will not give the optimal profit price. More on that later. The last output zone is model parameters. The Gabor-Granger model has 3 parameters: intercept, slope, and ceiling, correspondingly gamma, beta, and alpha. The output also includes visualization aids, likelihood of purchase as a function of price. So we see it gives us a graph indicating the likelihood of purchase from the model as price increases. Now, as price increases, obviously, the likelihood of purchase decreases. And at some point, it drops off rather rapidly. And the optimal price is typically right before the quick drop-off. You can visualize revenues corresponding to those purchase likelihoods and the price given on the bottom axis as before, and revenues on the vertical axis. Again, we have price increasing as price increase, and at some point it begins to decrease. So our optimal is going to be right at the point at which it stops increasing and starts to decrease. And you'll notice it corresponds to about $8 as given in the pricing analysis output we saw earlier. Finally, the last tab is data, which repeats the data from the data file that you started with. Now, back to the point of revenue versus profit maximization. Let's go back to the original data file. Here, we did not indicate any costs, so the pricing analysis does not know how to maximize anything other than revenue. However, we may have marginal cost. If we have marginal cost, we simply modify the respondent's price levels. So here, if we assume 70 cents marginal cost, we subtract from the prices given before. So here was $5 minus 70, we enter here 43. MEXL will use these prices to optimize. So bear in mind, it's revenue. It assumes it's revenue, but with the lower price, indicating the margin. So essentially, these prices here correspond to the margin, and MEXL treats these as prices. But it will give you the profit maximizing price instead of the revenue maximizing price.